Hi, Taylor.
Hello. How are we doing?
Good. It's morning time where you're at, isn't it?
Yes, it is 10:41 where we're at today.
Yeah.
I haven't had my breakfast yet.
Oh, I had a Chips Ahoy cookie, so you're good.
There you go.
Right.
And I didn't have any coffee yet either. I'm like in that middle of like I want coffee, but I don't like to have coffee if I have an empty stomach because then it just gives me like.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm trying to be chill for this little chit chat we got going.
Right.
So.
Well, we have a lot of questions. I think some questions are kind of answered on your YouTube video that I reposted yesterday. So
Awesome.
It's still just hard to do them. You know what I mean? Like we talked about the last time we went live, I started reading Abraham's books.
Yes.
And, well, I listened to audio because who has time to sit down and read when you're a mom? But,
yeah.
And they have a ton of them and they're great, and I take notes. And it's just, do you ever listen to them and you're like, that sounds like a great idea? Like, I know what she's feeling and I know what she's talking about. But then when you try to do it, you're like, I don't think it's working. Yeah.
Is there any specific one you're talking about right now or you're thinking of?
Okay, so I tend to jump back and forth with different ones because, sometimes I get overwhelmed. So in one of the books, the husband is talking. It's not my favorite, but it's full of information. I think it's his voice. I don't mean to be rude, but no, I just don't like his voice.
Okay.
But he talked about the 22, different steps to get your vibrations where they need to be so that you can manifest clearly and accept clearly what you're manifesting.
Okay.
And he says, if you're feeling this way, then you need to do step 1. If you're feeling this way, you need to do step 2, so on and so forth. But honestly, I think he talks so much that he loses the point of what he's saying. You know what I mean?
I haven't seen the 22 steps, but I have heard of like step 1 is decide what you want. Step 2, get in the receiving mode. Is that what they're talking about? It's like
no, those steps are we could probably highlight those steps, but no, these are steps that he's talking about if
to raise your vibration.
Yes. If you feel like you're not getting anywhere, if you feel like your vibrations are too low and that you're not manifesting and not being able to meditate, that kind of thing.
So with your vibrations, I don't know if he's saying 22 steps or 22 ways to raise your vibration.
He's just, he'll say like on step 1, it's, if you're thinking about something negative, start thinking about something positive. No shit. That's what I want to say. That's just common sense. Sometimes it's harder than others.
Yes.
You can't change that.
Absolutely.
And then of course, Abraham every day, he'll say you have the chance to start over every single day. When you go to sleep, you're resetting yourself completely. Yeah. So if you had a bad day, go to sleep, and when you wake up, you're going to be fine. You can reset yourself.
Wipe it off.
I completely believe in that. So that was a good one. But
I also believe in she says segment intending, or this is a new segment. Like when you notice you're feeling low vibration, you're feeling fear, doubt, shameful, anxiety, whatever. He's saying to take a moment instead of waiting for the whole next day. Just take a moment, center yourself, take a few deep breaths, ask yourself, okay, what is present? What's coming up for me right now? What needs to be expressed? Where does this come from? Let yourself feel it, and then be like, okay, do I need to sit in here, or what's going to get me out of this? Can I see a lesson that I've just learned that I can appreciate what just happened? I mean, even like just this morning, I got in a low vibration. I was in reactive mode, and I'm like, okay, I need a minute to just what triggered in me that caused a negative reaction. And I gave myself a minute to be like, okay, I'm feeling this way. But why? Why am I feeling this way? Oh, I was triggered because of a fear of this or a fear of that. And then I'm like, okay, so I don't want to stay stuck in this fear. I want to raise my vibrations. I didn't really think that, but that was the process that I took. And I'm like, okay, I can see this in a light and say, oh, that exact moment just came out for me to have the awareness of being triggered and the awareness of that being a fear. I can even say thank you that I just had that moment now, that I can move on and I have that awareness, and hopefully I can make it a more conscious choice in that next moment.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that they talk about a lot in the book is once you start doing this process, you will realize and be able to react a lot easier to your, what's going on in your life. Like you notice things more. You're like, okay, just stop. Like we talked about last time, like doing the shadowing.
Yes.
Something, it doesn't matter what it could be. It could have been triggered something, and you don't even know. Like when you were 10, you got locked in the bathroom. You're like, I don't do that.
Exactly. But it comes up from you because that fear is still rootly inside of you.
Yes.
And we touched on tapping a little bit in text messaging. I actually did some tapping this morning.
You did?
Yes. This is what I did. I'll just give you an example. And so you tap on the meridian points to align your energy centers. It's helping you raise your vibration. So I felt anxiety. I felt fearful. And I knew in my toolbox of I just had a thought, oh, tap right now. This would be good. And I immediately even though I'm feeling anxious, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling this way, I completely love and accept myself. And then just kept going with that and tapping my body until I felt better, saying I completely love and accept myself. And that anxiety almost, it disappeared because I tuned into it and I expressed it and I released it and I gave myself a shed of light, a shed of love on that, knowing that whatever I'm feeling in that moment, anxious, fear, depressed, I am still worthy of love and acceptance and healing.
Yes. I tried to kind of find a diagram for tapping because, when you watch any of the videos or anything, they're just doing this.
Yeah.
Even those kids, the teacher had taught the kids in that class, which was so cute. Did you see all that?
Yeah.
That was really good.
I'm so glad that they're doing that.
Yeah, but he's not, they don't say, okay, tap here, then tap here, then tap here. I need a diagram that we can post to everybody that says here. Yes.
Okay. I'll post a picture. I actually just saved one of the different points. And I don't, for me, I'm not, master educated on this yet. So I just go from what I've learned and watching other people and tapping different points. And I just kind of go with what feels good. I could try to tap all the points, but some people, I've watched videos a 10-minute tapping video and they're tapping just right here the whole time.
Yeah.
I think it really is what feels good to you. But also, I was reading once and over here has something to do with your digestion and relaxing your digestive system. So we could get pretty, technical with it and I need to fix my digestion right now.
Right. My stomach hurts. That's a good one. Which one is the losing weight and energy one? This one? This one's for keeping my mouth shut.
For some reason, I feel like I carry a lot of my stress right here, and tapping right here feels the best for me.
And that's what I do. Even at work, I'll be like, so how was your day? What did you do with your hair? And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm just tapping. I'm just tapping. I tap. I'm just tapping.
I'm aligning myself, okay?
Right. Right. Oh. And this is so funny that, you said you already copied a diagram of that because in the book with Abraham, they said, none of this is by accident. You're not reading this book by accident. You were thinking about this. Your soul was thinking about everything that it needed to learn before you ever came down here. I said, when I was saying my prayers last night, I was like, why can't I remember anything from when I was up there to down here? Because it would be so much easier. Can't you just give me a guide? Laughed at me, but whatever.
Yeah, can we give you a guide? They're like, no, we'll give you a lesson that you need to learn in the morning so you can go on that live, and that's going to be your guide.
Right, which is where half of my questions come up is, in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, we're just going to ask Taylor this one.
Hey, that's when you're in the shower, those ideas come up, and when you're sleeping, when the rest of the world is gone, oh,
I listen to the book a lot when I'm driving or in the bathtub, and then, you know, Carl or one of the kids will come in the bathtub because you can't take a bath without kids.
Yeah.
Goes. And he'll be like, "Why is your phone in the tub?" I was like, "I'm taking notes." Duh.
Yes. All right.
But I'm so glad that we're doing this, because we've talked a lot about suicide, a lot. And if we can even get anybody to watch any of these, you know, because they're on our pages, that would make a huge difference. You know, my sister called me yesterday, and we had another suicide yesterday. I'm just flabbergasted and overwhelmed and hurt, and I wish that people could understand, and I know it's hard for people who have depression and anxiety. I do. But I wish that they could understand that life is so much more. You don't have to go through any of this at all. You don't have to go through any of it alone.
It's mental stuff. It's like, the mind is it's a great tool, but it's not meant to be the master. The soul spirit is the master. And I think so many times with, like, even when I get really anxious or anxiety, depression in and of itself is imbalances just within the mind, body, and spirit itself.
Yeah. You know, and it's so odd. Even a hormonal imbalance can trigger you into something, you know, and then of course you have to really work hard to take back control over what's going on.
And food too. Just like your certain food you eat in a day, the way that interacts in your gut bacteria, you know, your serotonin, your feel-good hormone is made in your gut. So whatever you're eating, that's what they are taking in to then, you know, make serotonin with, or what your hormones. And so everything is so interconnected.
So I know a lot of people, when we talk about manifesting, there's two things that people manifest the most: money and health. And
or desire to manifest.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about money. Okay. Because you had some things on your Facebook and on your story that people were texting me, and I was like, I don't know. Because, you know, of course, you know, you and Gavin have been doing this for a few years, you know. So you know way more about this than me. And I remember when, you know, Gavin and I will talk, and we talked about Bitcoin, and I'm just like, great. Good job, bud. Love you.
Yes.
What do you want to do for Christmas? You know? So, but now everybody's asking me, you know, and I've called Gavin several times with a couple friends, you know, when they say, you know, what do we invest in? And Gavin will tell us, but this is different. This that you guys are doing, this is something that everybody can do.
Yes.
And so I would like for you to tell us, poor folk,
how you can get started doing something.
Yes.
Well, it all is very, very individual, and you can't put like a blanket. Everybody should do this, other than start looking at your own personal credit. What's your personal credit look like? And that's generally what everybody can do. But really, you guys need to get in contact, like, individually with me or Gavin, so we can look at your credit file with you and say, okay, this is what's wrong. This is what's going to prevent you from moving forward into investing. And this is the steps you need to take to get rid of that problem so we can get you moving forward with investing.
That's right.
But we are doing Facebook shops, and the thing about that is everybody can do it, but there is a process, and it's not just you can start today. You have to get your personal credit good, personal credit score, and your file. And the thing about your score is when you just look at it, say on like a Discover app or something, it's not going to tell you, oh, you've got these late payments, you've got these inquiries, you've got all these things that are causing your score to be what it is. So if you got in contact with me or Gavin, the first thing we would do is look at that file with you, that full file of everything on your credit and where you're standing, and are you going to be able to take those next steps right away. But you can always get your credit good, you know?
Right.
And so that would be the first step, is look at your credit. But were there like certain questions you had about it that you wanted me to go over? Or
well, I think it's just a generalization. You know, when you talk about credit, I think honestly, it makes a lot of people nervous.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, when I was a kid, and I'm only 22, so, back then, we didn't really have credit scores.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we did, but it wasn't really like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to get a loan for a house, then you went and the bank said, okay, where do you work? How much do you make? How long have you been there? What does your wife do? How many kids do you have? How much is the house?
Yes.
And then they look and they look at your bank accounts at that bank, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like now where, okay, well, you have a score of 710. Great. Go get whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why it's very individuals, because the way I went in a route that where I got the funding to invest, I did it one way with business credit. And so to get business credit, I had to get my personal credit good. But there's lots of ways to get funding to go invest if you don't have a lot of money sitting around. And that's why it's very individual. Like, depending on your credit, we might not go the credit route. You might need to get funding a different route. And ultimately, it's just depending on how many credit cards you've had in the past, what's open on your file. There's certain banks, when you go to get certain credit cards, you can only have a certain amount of credit open. They look at your history. They look at a lot of things, and that's why it is so individual. Like, okay, this is how you get started. So definitely contact one of us so we can look at your file together and say, this would be the next best step for you. And this is going to be the easiest way to get you thriving and building wealth.
Right. Well, we've talked about this, why we do a live before. We're going to, when we're talking about money and everything else, I'm a guinea pig. I started doing this a few months ago. Everybody knows I've been through a divorce. Divorces kill your credit. Mm-hmm. I filed bankruptcy after it because he ruined everything. Went to a lawyer and did all of that. I saved up my money, and I went to George, which is a friend of you guys's, to help clear my file, make sure that everything's paid off. George found that there was somebody that had some things that opened in my name, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, he called these Experian and whatever, and I get a letter probably once a month that says, we have looked over your dispute, and we recognize that it wasn't you, and we cleared it.
That's awesome.
Bored, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah, like, I didn't even know before that if your credit was bad or you had something on your credit file that was causing it to stay low or didn't look good, that you can actually get it removed.
Right.
Or you can attempt to, or, some things won't, there's some things that just won't ever come off, but there's a lot of things that can, and I never even knew you could do that.
There was 4 addresses on my file. 4. And he said, that takes your score down. I was like, what? Why is there 4 addresses? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there are credit repair companies, and George, that's what he does for his job. He helps people repair their credit. And why would that be important? Why would be your personal credit?
Yeah, because I need to raise
everything, but ultimately, the way I have done my investing was with business credit, and so with investing, the more money you put in, the more money you're going to get out. So I want to have as much credit as I can get on business. Well, if my personal score is super good, then I'm going to be approved for more business credit. To be approved for business, they're going to first look at your personal and be like, okay, how's she in good standing? Can we trust her? So that's why all that is important, because for you to excel, they're going to first make sure you are good in your personal file and that stuff.
That's right. And then, once you get all that done, then you guys can, I'm assuming George will say, okay, you're ready. And then I'm coming, and then, you guys will then help me file for or get the business credit that I need and decide where and how much, and then where to invest it.
Yes, so there's a couple different options and ways. Like, you can go the route I did, where I got business credit. So, like, on credit card, I was approved for a couple thousand, a large amount. And so I'm going to take that and then put that into a cash flowing asset, a business, an online business, or even private equity. You could go to like laundromat. There's all these different businesses, certain things you can put your money in that are essentially just going to make you more money from that business credit or from the funding wherever you get, because you don't have to go the business credit route. There are other ways to get funding that essentially is not taking your own personal money and throwing that's taking other people's money, as we like to call it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. I hope that other people get it. Like, things are not the way that they used to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, you know, I think some people get a little nervous when you say credit, though, because then, Taylor, you have thousands of dollars under your name. What if you can't pay it back? So how are you paying it back?
So the way you do it, what you invest in, is you want to invest in something that is going to give you a quick ROI. So, and the way I did it was I got business credit with 0% interest for 12 months. So I'm going to put that money into something that's going to give me my return before those 12 months are up.
Mm-hmm.
And things like digital real estate, Facebook shops, that's something that's going to give you a quick ROI. So you're going to be able to pay it back before those 12 months are up. And then after that card's done, you can transfer that to a new 0% interest card.
With a higher balance?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're starting small and then making that money and then making more money and then making more money.
Mm-hmm. So for example, something that just happened with my credit. Last year, I was approved for a credit card, a business credit card under my business name and LLC for $19,000 at 0% interest for 12 months. So actually, just this past month at the same bank, I was approved for another credit card, business credit card for $12,000, 0% interest for 12 months. Well, the $19,000 ones, that 0% interest is gone. So we called the bank. We had to leave $1,000 on there and said, hey, can we balance transfer this to my new card? They said, sure. So now we took $18,000 from that old card, put it on the new one, and now we have $30,000 of 0% interest instead of just 12. So again, the more money you put in, the more money you put out. So I can go take now 30 instead of 12 and go invest that, which is going to bring me higher profits.
So then how are you making your monthly payments on your credit card? You're getting an ORI or an ROI every month that you're just as a payment towards the credit card, and you're paying that very quickly. So you really don't see any money in your account as an investment that you see to make money off of until that credit card's paid off, correct?
Correct.
That's good. But it happens very quickly.
And different investments we get in, like with Facebook shops, you get paid out every day. Some things like Amazon, other things you get paid out like every 2 weeks. And so you're able to, when you're getting your payment, you're getting however much you spent on the card plus that profit amount. So you get the amount to pay the card back plus your little chain of profit.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I guess, one of the questions that, was proposed to me last week was, well, how are we going to pay it? How are we going to pay it off? How do you do that? How do you do all of it? And I was like, well, they get the credit card and then I think they get the monthly payments and they pay it off before the month and then they hold it or get a new one. I mean,
yes.
I don't know.
So I brought Mr. Gavin here.
Oh.
What up?
How you doing, babe?
I didn't know if you wanted to give us any 2 cents on this.
Well,
yeah, so they're wondering about, like, with credit, how is it possible to pay it off every month? Like, how are we not ranking up all this?
Well, you have 12 months to pay it off.
So you don't have to make a monthly payment, like, in a budget?
You have to make a 1% payment. So you have to make the minimum payment, which is 1% of the total balance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a $30,000 limit and you spend $30,000 on an investment, you only have to pay $300 per month. But you make that usually within like 2 to 3 days. So you can pay that off. But the goal, best practices are obviously to pay off your cards before you start taking any profit. But cards are only just one way to fund. You can take term loans. You can. The thing is like, it's funny because like the poor people in the world think like debt's a bad thing. Like they look at it as like a bad thing. It's like trash sheets, like white trash. Like why the hell are you taking a loan? We're not talking about payday loans, right? We're talking about like term loans, things with like decent interest rates. We're not talking about 30% interest or anything like that. But with the rich people in the world, they look at it as like smart. It's like, For poor people, they call it debt. For rich people, they call it leverage. So you're using leverage to get into assets. You know, one of my mentors just bought a $700 million real estate property to add to his portfolio of like a $3 billion portfolio. Do you think that was his money? Absolutely not. He got that from the bank.
So a business. The banks, that's what I think, like, what I like about the banks is they want to help other businesses. And whether, like I said, there's different ways to get it. I use business credit. If you don't have funding, we can get you that funding some type of way through these loans he's talking about. Through
it's
different ways.
It's essentially, essentially that's the business. Like, think of a bank as a business, right? So their business model is to lend out money. They make money by giving you money. You put your money in a savings account or checking account. They take that money is not staying in the account. It's a numbers on an app for you or on your computer. But they take that money and then they reinvest that to somebody else. They give it to somebody for a mortgage or whatever.
Right.
They give it to my business to go invest.
Exactly. So,
right.
So,
or your business or anyone else's business.
So yeah, you can get like term loans. You can get credit. I mean, ultimately, you're just accessing bank money, and then depending on the terms of that money, like the terms of how the bank gave it to you, is how you're going to pay it back. So, what we do is I don't want to pay any interest. So like, why take a term loan? Like term loans, like I can get a term loan for maybe like 2% interest, 3% interest. So why not do that? Well, I don't want to pay 2% interest. It's not very much, but it's still interest. I'd rather go get 0% interest. Like banks give me money, and as long as I pay it back within 12 months, it's free. So I get free money from the bank. I go put that to work, make that pay it off within 12 months. I just bought an asset with the bank's money, not my own.
And you just have money coming in now.
Yeah, and now I just made a surplus of cash because now I just take my active income and I plug that into more the other businesses. So now I'm speeding up the rate in which I can invest. So because I'm obviously investing my active income as well.
Yeah.
It's just if you only invest your active income, it's gonna take a lot longer to make enough money to like live off of. Because everyone's goal should really be like, hey, how can I invest to like replace my active income so that I don't have to work anymore? Like I can, like do whatever I want to do. So maybe to most people that's like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, you know, and that's easily doable within 12 months. Like that's super easy to do. You just have to pick the right vehicle to invest in. You know, don't start investing in real estate. If anybody's watching this, what a shit investment. Everybody thinks about real estate because, you know, that's the only thing they've been taught, stocks and real estate. A lot of people don't know about private equity. Private equity is great.
Investing in other businesses, that's private equity.
You know, you can do short-term stocks, which is like stock trading, day trading, but I mean, you have to get good at reading charts. I mean, that's still a day job. That's active income. You have to sit there and look at charts all day.
I like to look at things like, what can I invest in that's going to be automated as much as possible for me? And that's like great to have connections like that. We know people who come to Gavin that have these awesome businesses that we're like, oh, like maybe I want to invest in your business.
Right.
Like looking for things for me, that's something that someone who doesn't have a whole lot of, if I'm going to invest in a business, I want to be as much hands off. Whereas Gavin might come in and be like, oh, I've got expertise. I want to come and invest in this business and make your business better.
Yes, that's what I do. I do two different things. I come in and I actually I do marketing and sales for businesses to where I actually, you know, profit share with them. And so that's me investing my time and my resource, my assets into their company. And then that's my active income. And then I also have passive income streams. So stores, you know, we have 4 e-commerce stores from various platforms, Facebook, Amazon, that do sales and things like that are completely handled by a team that I don't have to do anything for, which is great.
That automation.
That kind of goes into what these top two questions were next. If you don't want to use credit and you have money laying around, so you got an inheritance or you have a saving, how much do they need to put in if they have their own cash to get a good ROI, or how little? You know, we live in the Midwest. And how do we know what to invest? Because we're not investing is what I keep telling them. I'm like, Gavin and Taylor's going to do it. And you guys are going to be the ones watching it for us and just letting us know, right?
It depends on the vehicle you want to invest in. So e-commerce stores, yeah, you have a team that runs that. So like, you know, that is only one vehicle.
So how much money do they need to get started? Like
Yeah.
if they have money sitting around?
Yeah, so if they have money sitting around and they have money in their bank account, their savings account, the cheapest you can get an e-commerce store for is $25,000. That's like as cheap as it gets. They go all the way up to 100 and something thousand. I mean, e-commerce stores range from like automated to like not automated, right? Like you actually have to actively work, manage the company. You can buy a brand for millions of dollars or whatever. You can easily do all those things, but if you're going to automate it, make a passive income stream, you can get them between like 25,000 up to 100 grand. But
so that's if they have that lump sum of money sitting around. If
Right.
not, like I did not, you don't have to have that lump sum of money sitting around to still
Right.
start investing, and that's the point.
I think anybody that I know of does, but that's good.
That's the thing. It's like it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
just because you don't have money sitting around doesn't mean you have to stay where you're at.
Right.
Well, if you buy an e-commerce store for 25,000, I mean, you only need to make like a little over $2,000 a month to pay off that credit card. Because let's just say you use a business credit card at 0% interest. And let me make it clear that the business credit cards don't report on your personal credit. When you get access to a business credit card, they want to pull your credit to see how trustworthy you are because your business doesn't have credit built up yet.
Right.
As you continue on your business, like if your business opened 3-4 years and you've had business credit, they'll stop looking at your personal eventually. Like you don't have to put down a PG. They call it personal guarantee. You don't have to do that anymore. But the utilization on that card, let's say you had a limit of 30,000 on the card, you use 25,000 of that on the store. That 25,000 utilization is not on your credit report. Like all other credit cards, whenever you use them and there's a limit on there, it'll drop your score. That's why we do business credit, because there are 0% interest. And grab our stack. We do have like personal and business cards that are 0%, but that's why you go to business so it doesn't report on your score. Because what if you wanted to buy a car during that time, or what if you wanted to get a new rental property or whatever, or what if you needed like a landlord's going to pull your credit
Right.
report, you want it to be good.
Right.
So you go business, and then from
So
there,
they don't really have to have a certain amount to get started. They just need to
No.
get in contact with us.
No,
Right.
but from there, since the utilization doesn't accumulate, and you only have to make the minimum amount payment. Obviously, you have this 12 months. You like make a little over $2,000 a month, and then there's your 25,000 that you just paid for. So for the first year, you wouldn't technically with those numbers, you wouldn't be making anything. You just pay off the investment. So then the next year, but these
Would be all
stores
profit.
are doing like $4 or $5 grand a month. So
Man.
you could pay it off in like between 6 to 9 months, pay it off, and then you're already making money on year one. That's what I said. Like, don't invest in real estate. Fuck stocks. Fuck real estate. Why?
It takes
Because
a lot longer to
they take
get your
forever.
money.
They take forever.
Right.
Like what real estate property can pay you $5,000 a month and not to do anything? None.
Right.
You know, stocks. Yeah, great. Go to, stocks are awesome. Go invest in stocks, but that's not passive income. Like, there's cash flow, and then there's investing.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my YouTube video. How
Yeah, so you want cash flow. You want a monthly check coming from your investments. You don't want to put your stocks in a 401k or like your cash in a 401k or whatever.
and then wait until you're old.
Not that that's bad, but
Right.
you should absolutely do cash flow.
If you can get cash flow coming in now, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Right. And I'm telling you guys, a lot of my clients, because we were talking about this, and watching some of the videos, and stuff, and Gavin, like I told you before, I've had a couple of my friends had me called you to see what is Gavin investing in, because I want to invest whatever Gavin's in.
Yeah.
It's saying to people, hey, you don't need any of the stuff that you think you need.
Yeah.
You need to, get an LLC or whatever, and they can help you do whatever they need. It's different than what we were all taught.
Yes.
And if we want to work, and I love my job, I will always work, but if we don't want to work 40 hours a week and break
Right.
it like most everybody around here is doing, you need to
Yes.
get there. I mean, I
Yes.
wouldn't all of my clients and all of my family. Look
Right.
at my son. Look at Taylor. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're helping everybody.
Mhm.
Well, ultimately, if you have more time freedom, I mean, it's all about time freedom. Cash is number one asset. the money, the world goes around because of cash. So if you have, the more cash you have, the more time you just bought back. So that's the whole point. And if you're poor and you weren't taught right, like, and you don't have good credit,
don't use that as an excuse.
Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, there is absolutely a way for everybody. I mean, I had complete shit credit from the get, and pretty easy. So I mean,
I want to say, like, don't self-sabotage. This is a big one.
Every human does it. I used to do it too. I used to do it. I mean, my God, that's like 90% of the people I talk to.
Like, if you know there's something that you can do to help yourself, it's going to be easy. It's going to be a small journey. And just do it. Don't self-sabotage yourself. Do it. If that's
people
something
always
you're
ask me
desiring.
shit. They'll always ask me shit like, hey, you know, what's it cost? How much you make? And they'll get excited.
Right.
And then, like, I'm like, yeah, let's give them a call and let's go over, like, your credit file real quick so I know, like, where to put you. Like, do I need to get you in contact with George? Do I need to, you know, get you in contact with somebody else for a term loan? Like, what are you comfortable with? Because everybody has their own risk analysis. A lot of people, when they see credit cards stacked like this, they get fucking like, whoa, I don't want to touch credit. I heard credit's bad. You know, da-da-da-da. Well, credit's bad because you're a dumbass and I bought a Gucci purse with it. I'm talking about buying an asset. Like, buy something that will give you
credit
money.
is good when it makes you money.
Yeah. So
it doesn't hurt you.
It depends on your risk level and what you've been taught in life. You know, a lot of people, like a lot of older people are like, oh my God, credit? I don't want to touch credit cards.
Yes.
Dude, grandma doesn't even have a debit card. She doesn't even have a checking account. It blows my mind. So, long story short, there's mistrust in the banking system. That's what it is. There's mistrust. And obviously with mainstream media, they're like, oh my God, you know, Americans' credit card debt is da-da-da-da-da. So then it's just embedded in your brain as like, wow, credit is bad.
But just get past that little program.
But once we start talking about credit, and I'm like, where do I need to put you? Whatever. Dude, like, people ghost for like a month, 2 months.
And that's where the self-sabotage comes in. It's like, I have to look at my credit?
Yeah.
Like, that's the only step you gotta do, man.
It's so easy. It's so simple. But, like, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
You're self-sabotaging from the get, you know?
Right here. I've been doing everything that you and George have been telling me. When was it, Gav? August or September? I want to say it might have been even middle of September. That's the one I called George. That's when I made the payment, which wasn't a lot. I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was less than what my bankruptcy was, and I should have called him before my bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we're here in February. So October, November, February, 5 months. My score, I'm not shitting you. It was at 415, and it is at 640. 5. Right? And he knows.
So everybody knows on this call, the score doesn't mean shit, by the way. Just so everybody knows. Like, there are people that I talk to with like 780, 800. I can't do anything for them. Like, in terms of credit, you have to have like crystal clear, like perfect score for them to give you the amount of credit you want. They'll give you a business card, but
you want the highest amount.
Right.
What they're going to give you one with $2,000. What are you going to do with 2,000? You know what I mean? Like, there's a sequence to getting these cards. There's a process to getting the most amount. Because if you get 3 cards and you only have 2,000 on each, so that's only $6,000. You can invest with that.
That's why it's so individual.
You want 3 cards with $10,000 a piece, or 3 cards with 15 or 20,000 a piece, whatever. Exactly. That's why it's so individual.
When you're going through the approval process, like I just did a fund and grow, a funding process, and they're like, oh well, different people get approved for a wide variety of amounts based on your personal history.
Yeah, and I know what that looks like. I've helped hundreds of people. Like, that's part of what I like to do is finance. So it's like, I know what to look for in a file. The score doesn't matter. When somebody's like, oh, I have a 780, it's like, okay, great. I still need to look at your file. Because like, what's in the file? Do you have a late payment, like from when you're in college? Do you have any student loan debts that you have to make payments on? Exactly. So it's like, you can have a 780 and have one late payment, and it doesn't hurt your score that much because it's like maybe 4 years ago. But it's still
it's just a matter of,
it's still not going to allow you to get credit.
Attempting to contact and
yes, and there's such a people so embarrassed. They're like, I don't know, in like 2000, and it's so embarrassing. And my score is,
it is what it is.
That's like 75 to 80% of Americans have like a below a 650 credit
it's
score.
Okay. We are not caring about the past. We're going and we're saying, you know what? I love you. Thank you, self. But we are moving on. We're moving up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, and that's why
so
I like to tell people when I'm on calls, it's like my credit, we should be shit.
It doesn't matter.
Like, dude, it's just like we came from the same cloth. Like, I didn't have any
Gotta
money
start
either.
somewhere.
Like, dude, I used to have a shit score. I fucked up when I was a kid. You know, I laid on my car payment, laid on my electric bill, didn't pay my water, got it shut off. You know, like, I'm an idiot. You know, so it's like, I got, you know, thank God I did that when I was younger. I'm not doing it now. But it's like, once you figure out, like, oh my God, I gotta, like, be more responsible, then take it to the next level and do something to, if it's not for yourself, for your fucking family, for your kids, send them to college. You know, $5,000 a month is a lot of money for people, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I told, you know, well, obviously you guys know everything about me, but when I called George, I told him I told him what I wanted to do with the money and why I was doing it and what I Gavin, how I was going to do it. And he said, okay. And he knows exactly what we're doing. And he's focused. I mean, I just talked to him last week and he's like, looking good. We're on track. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
yeah, that's awesome.
And I manifested it.
Yeah, you did.
Because I think we talked about this at Christmas 2 years ago when you guys told me that's what you guys were doing. I was like, I want to do it. And you're like, okay, then do it.
Then do it. Yeah. And you doing it.
Right.
And it's just that easy. You just it's all about who you know. A lot of people don't know about this stuff. Like I said, they know about stocks, long-term investing. They know about real estate, which is...
It's new. It's something different, so it's scary.
Yeah. It's like, but it's not, though. Like,
for them, it's scary. It's
like,
something new and different. It's scary.
I know,
but the
this
thing is,
is
it's
not like a new
scary.
investment. This is not crypto. Crypto is a new investment class. This isn't crypto. This is private equity. Like, think about the fucking laundromat on the corner, the car wash. That's private equity. You can go buy that fucking car wash. How much money do you think that car wash makes? That's exactly what this is, except this is online where if COVID hit, we're still fine because people still need to wipe their ass with toilet paper and still need fucking kitchen utensils and whatever.
And you be smart about what you put your money into.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is just one vehicle, but I put my money there because I looked at how much do I have to put in, how fast do I get it back, and then what's the time frame on it? Like, what's the longevity of my investment?
Right.
Oh, e-commerce isn't going anywhere and it just keeps growing and Amazon keeps growing and Facebook keeps growing. They got Oculus, the Metaverse. Okay. Fantastic investments to put my money into.
That's going to be a long term, but it's going to get my money back quick too. So you want to think like, okay, I want to invest. What's going to give me my money the quickest, the fastest, and the most amount?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because, first of all, during the pandemic, nobody could leave. They bought everything online, and now that everybody knows what they can do without having to leave the house,
we're still doing it.
I go to
Walmart.
Walmart.
Works here to stay.
And they always have it. So
yes.
Yeah, remote works here to stay for sure.
Yeah.
But
we put stuff down here so that everybody can get to you and everybody will call you. And
yes, what I'll do is I'll post what we talked about at the beginning of the video, the tapping, and then I'll leave my contact information and also Gavin's contact information.
Did he go?
Good.
here, take these.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, Gavin.
Bye.
And he looks so cute in his little office. His big office, I should.
His arms are like pythons. Serious.
His what?
His arms are like pythons.
He'd like to hear that.
Hold on. I should find a little baby picture so that everybody can see what scrawny he was when he was a
She said
baby.
your arms are like pythons.
What?
She said them arms are like pythons.
Arms are like pythons. I gotta find a
Gage
picture.
hear that? Is that Gage?
That's
if you're watching this?
Oh, Gage. Poor Gage. Oh, hold on. Here's a baby picture, or a little picture of Gavin. Look at him.
Oh.
Look at him before.
On the live.
Look at those skinny little arms.
Dud muffin. Look at that shirt. See how my mom used to fucking dress me?
Shut it. You were
Oh,
He had a bowl cut when he was 2.
kitty.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, honey.
All right.
Well, Taylor, you guys have given us a lot. I mean, my watch it still takes text messages, and I have 10.
Oh, all right. Well,
So,
we'll be here
you
next
guys-
week.
Yep, put the links down. I'm sure we'll have a lot more questions. I am so excited. I know that this is not something that I can do tomorrow because my credit was shit, but somebody who doesn't have shit credit can do it tomorrow.
Yes.
And in 6 months, y'all could be living in the Bahamas.
Yes, and I want to keep it like, you know, I want these calls to be like educational, what I'm doing in my life, how I can help you guys, and just, you know, it all goes full circle, that mind, body, and spirit, building wealth for yourself, all the above. It all comes back to you being healthier and happier and feeling better and living your best life.
Right. So, because money buys freedom.
It does. But you gotta be healthy to enjoy the freedom. So it's all full circle. All right. We will see you guys next week.
All right, love you. I have George's links. He sent that to me last week, so I'll put that on our comments. Or you can put it on.
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay, I will.
Okay.